If you're over 60, there's one simple daily movement you've probably done for years. Something that seems healthy, even essential, but it could quietly increase your risk of a stroke while you sleep. No pain, no warning. One night, you feel just fine. And the next morning, you can't lift your arm, speak clearly, or recognize your loved one's face. I know that sounds frightening, but I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to protect you. As a brain doctor with over 30 years of experience treating stroke survivors, I've seen thousands of cases. And the ones that haunt me most aren't caused by smoking or junk food. They're caused by well-meaning habits, by movements, stretches, and exercises that are supposed to help us age gracefully. You've been told to stay active, and that's true. But here's what no one tells you. After age 60, your body doesn't respond the same way. Certain motions that were safe in your 40s and 50s can now trigger silent, dangerous shifts in blood flow. Hence, your blood vessels are more fragile, your nervous system isn't as quick to adapt, and the result can be a perfect storm: rising pressure, sluggish circulation, and clots forming quietly without a single symptom until they strike your brain. Today, I'm going to walk you through 9 common movements or exercises that may seem harmless, even helpful, but could be putting your brain at risk. You don't need to stop moving, but you do need to understand how aging changes your body and how to move with wisdom, not just willpower. What you learn today could be the most important health message you hear all year. It might even save your life or someone you love. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, I gently recommend you do that now so you never miss another life-saving tip made just for people over 60. And if you find this video helpful, please type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 so I know how to improve these messages for you. Let's begin. Because your legs, which have carried you through so much in life, may now be quietly calling out for help. Number 1, toe touches and forward bends, the hidden drop in brain blood flow. For decades, we've been taught that touching our toes or bending forward to stretch is a good thing, a sign of flexibility, health, and even youthfulness. Many older adults do this movement every morning, thinking they're doing their body a favor. You might bend to pick up laundry, put on socks, or touch your toes to stretch your spine. But after age 60, this simple motion can quietly steal oxygen from your brain. Let me explain. When you bend forward from a standing position, especially quickly, your blood momentarily drains from your head down into your legs and abdomen. In a younger body, pressure sensors in the arteries, called baroreceptors, instantly signal the heart to adjust, sending blood back up to the brain. You stay balanced, your brain stays nourished. But as we age, those baroreceptors become less responsive. Your brain doesn't get that oxygen back as quickly. The result? A brief but dangerous drop in blood flow. You might feel a bit dizzy or nothing at all. But repeated drops like this can lead to something far worse: chronic oxygen deprivation, thickened blood, and the formation of tiny clots that quietly build over time. Eventually, one of those clots can lodge in a narrow artery in your brain, triggering a stroke without warning. I remember a patient named Edward, a retired history teacher in his 70s. Every morning he'd touch his toes 5 times. "It makes me feel young," he'd say with a smile. One day, after his usual stretch, he felt lightheaded. He brushed it off. Hours later, while tending his garden, he collapsed. At the hospital, we found a small ischemic stroke caused by a clot likely formed from that early morning drop in blood pressure. Edward survived, but he never fully regained the use of his right hand. And the hardest part? He truly believed he was doing something healthy. The problem isn't the stretch. It's when and how you do it. Here's what I recommend if you must bend over. Never bend quickly, especially first thing in the morning. Avoid toe touches right after waking up, when your body is still dehydrated and your blood pressure is low. Always rise slowly from a bent position. Sit down to put on socks or pick up items from the floor. And most importantly, listen to your body. If you feel dizzy, pause. That's not just old age. That's your brain asking for help. You see, the most dangerous strokes aren't always dramatic. They don't always come with warning signs. Sometimes they begin with a gentle bend that's just too much for aging arteries to handle. Your flexibility matters, but not at the cost of your brain's oxygen. The next time you think about doing toe touches, ask yourself, is this movement helping me or quietly hurting me? Because protecting your brain starts not with big changes, but with small, thoughtful shifts in everyday routines. Number 2, inverted yoga poses. Hidden pressure on the aging brain. Yoga has become a beloved part of many older adults' lives. The gentle movements, deep breathing, and calming effect on the mind, it's a beautiful practice, and one I often recommend to my patients. But there's one category of yoga pose that, while popular, can quietly pose a serious risk to your brain after age 60. Inverted positions, or any posture where your head is lower than your heart. We've all heard the idea that letting blood flow to the brain is good, and while that's true in some contexts, it doesn't always hold up for aging bodies. Here's why. When you lower your head below your heart, such as in a shoulder stand, downward dog, or even a deep forward fold, the blood pressure in your brain increases rapidly. In younger adults, blood vessels are flexible and can expand to accommodate this temporary surge. But after 60, those vessels often become stiff and thin due to aging and inflammation. That means the increased pressure from an inverted pose can overload delicate capillaries in the brain, leading to microbleeds, tiny brain hemorrhages that build up silently until one day they become a major stroke. This risk becomes even greater if you take blood pressure medications, blood thinners like aspirin or warfarin, or if you've had any issues with high blood pressure or vascular disease in the past. One pose, one moment of poor circulation, one dehydration event, and suddenly the very thing meant to relax can put your life in danger. Let me share the story of Mrs. Evelyn, 73, from Florida. She practiced yoga every morning with friends at the park. It was her ritual, her peace. One day, after holding a downward dog and deep forward fold, she felt a strange headache and a wave of dizziness. That night, she became disoriented, struggled to form words, and the next morning, she was rushed to the ER. The diagnosis? A small brain hemorrhage near her ventricles, a type of stroke many don't recognize until it's too late. Her doctors believe the combination of the inverted poses, her daily blood thinner, and mild dehydration was the perfect storm. Evelyn survived, but her speech is slower now, and her energy isn't the same. When I visited her in recovery, she said something that stuck with me. I thought yoga was harmless. It can be, if practiced wisely. Here's how to protect yourself. Avoid all poses that place your head below your heart, especially without medical clearance. Don't practice yoga on an empty stomach or when dehydrated. Always move slowly and stay within a safe range of motion. Don't force deep bends. If you take blood thinners or blood pressure medication, consult your doctor before joining any yoga class. Focus on gentle chair yoga, standing poses, or mindful movement where your head remains level. You can still enjoy all the wonderful benefits of yoga, but the way you move matters more than ever. After 60, your blood vessels need stability, not strain. They've carried you through decades of life. They deserve gentle care, not sudden pressure. Don't let a peaceful pose turn into the beginning of a silent stroke. Number 3, lifting heavy objects, silent pressure on the brain. You might be thinking, I don't lift weights. I don't do anything heavy anymore. But lifting something heavy isn't limited to the gym. It can be a bag of groceries, a jug of water, a suitcase when visiting the grandchildren, or even your chubby cat that you scoop up each morning. After 60, every lift carries more weight than you realize, especially for your brain. When you lift something heavy, even something small, your body instinctively holds its breath and builds pressure in the chest and abdomen. This is called the Valsalva maneuver. It causes a series of rapid changes in your blood flow. Your blood pressure spikes, your heart momentarily slows, and then rebounds sharply. This creates a dramatic swing in intracranial pressure, the pressure inside your brain. In younger adults, blood vessels can flex and absorb this shift, but as we age, arteries stiffen and the walls thin, especially if you have high blood pressure or plaque buildup. That sudden pressure can cause micro tears or, worse, dislodge a small blood clot or piece of arterial plaque, sending it directly to your brain. That's how strokes happen, suddenly, silently, and often from a simple, well-intentioned act. I remember one patient, Mr. Raymond, 78, from Chicago. One morning, he tried to carry a water jug from the garage into the kitchen. It wasn't particularly heavy, but as he lifted it, he instinctively held his breath to brace himself. He felt a pop in his neck, followed by nausea and dizziness. Within 30 minutes, he couldn't form full sentences. Scans showed a small ischemic stroke in Broca's area, the brain region responsible for speech. Doctors suspect the cause was a dislodged plaque fragment from his carotid artery due to the pressure spike during lifting. Raymond survived, but even months later, he still struggles with phone conversations and finding words. He told me something that still rings in my ears. I just lifted a little jug. I didn't think that could cause a stroke. You don't have to stop being active, but you do need to lift differently. Never hold your breath when lifting. Exhale slowly as you lift. Break up heavy loads. Instead of carrying one big bag, carry two small ones. Use a rolling cart or wheeled suitcase whenever possible. Don't lift from a squatting position. Instead, lift from a seated or higher surface. Avoid lifting anything heavy in the early morning when you're more dehydrated and blood pressure is still adjusting. Strokes don't always come from harmful habits. Sometimes they're triggered by helpful actions done in unsafe ways. You've lived long enough to know. Strength isn't just about effort, it's about wisdom. Be gentle with your brain, your vessels, your body. They've served you well for decades. Now it's time to protect them with care. Number 4, standing up too quickly. Sudden oxygen loss to the brain. How many times a week do you stand up from a chair or get out of bed and feel a little dizzy or unsteady? Maybe you hold on to the armrest or pause for a few seconds until the sensation passes. For many people over 60, it's easy to brush this off as just aging. But standing up too quickly is more than a harmless moment. It can be a serious warning sign for your brain. This phenomenon is called orthostatic hypotension. It happens when you shift from sitting or lying down to standing, and your blood suddenly drops down into your legs and lower body. In younger adults, the body reacts instantly. The heart speeds up, blood vessels tighten, and blood rushes back to the brain. But after 60, that reflex weakens. The nervous system reacts more slowly. As a result, your brain may experience a brief but sharp drop in oxygen supply. These drops might feel minor, but over time, they're far from harmless. Repeated episodes can damage tiny blood vessels in the brain and increase your risk of silent strokes. Small clots that go unnoticed at first, but slowly chip away at your memory, balance, and clarity. One of my patients, Gloria, age 76, was a vibrant, independent woman. She liked to do sit-to-stand exercises without using her hands to keep her legs strong. One day, after her 4th repetition, she felt a wave of dizziness. As she took a step, she collapsed. There was no fall, no impact, but an MRI revealed she'd had a small cerebellar stroke, which affected her balance and coordination. It wasn't from trauma. It was simply from standing too quickly, too many times in a row. Gloria recovered with time. She still exercises, but now she carries a light cane for safety. She often tells her friends, "Just stand up slower, it's worth it." Here's how you can reduce the risk. Gently move your legs or ankles before standing, especially after sitting for a long time. Use a support, armrest, wall, or cane when rising from a chair or bed. Take 3 slow, deep breaths before you stand. Then stand up slowly, never abruptly. Pause between repetitions if you're doing sit-to-stand exercises. Stay well hydrated, especially in the morning. Dehydration makes these drops more dangerous. Sometimes, just a few seconds of low brain oxygen can leave lasting effects. And sadly, many people ignore these minor episodes until a stroke suddenly takes away their balance for speech or mobility. Your body isn't failing, it's simply changing. And it's asking you to respond with patience, not power. Wisdom means learning to slow down so your brain and heart can keep pace. Because when you move more slowly, life often gives you more moments to move through. Number 5, walking in the heat. When exercise and dehydration become a hidden threat. Walking is one of the best exercises for older adults. It's gentle, accessible, requires no equipment, and offers countless benefits for the heart, joints, and even the mind. But if you're walking outdoors in the heat or humidity, especially around noon or early afternoon, you might unknowingly be putting yourself at risk of a heat-related stroke due to dehydration and thickened blood. After age 60, your body doesn't regulate temperature or hydration the way it used to. You feel less thirsty. Even when your body is already low on fluids, you sweat less efficiently. Your cooling mechanisms slow down. The result? Your blood becomes thicker, circulation slows, and your risk of forming blood clots increases, especially if you already have high blood pressure or arterial plaque. When you walk in the heat, your body loses water through breathing and sweating. Your heart has to pump harder to circulate blood, but your brain, delicate and dependent on steady blood flow, may start receiving less. The combination of dehydration, body heat, and reduced brain perfusion can trigger a stroke, sometimes just hours after your walk ends. I once cared for Mr. Larry, age 81, from Arizona. He had a healthy routine, walking every afternoon after lunch. One summer day, he went for his usual 20-minute walk. It wasn't extremely hot, around 85 degrees, 29 degrees, but it was humid with no breeze. He didn't bring water, saying, "I'm only out for a bit." That evening, he felt tired and had trouble speaking. By morning, he couldn't say his wife's name. Doctors diagnosed him with an ischemic stroke caused by a small clot that blocked a vessel in his brain, likely due to dehydration and thickened blood from walking in warm, humid weather. Larry recovered after 2 months of therapy, but he lost some speech clarity and had to give up his midday walks. Let's make sure that never happens to you. Here are a few essential safety tips. Avoid walking outdoors between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., especially in the summer. Drink water before, during, and after your walk. Don't wait to feel thirsty. If you take diuretics or blood pressure medications, ask your doctor how much water you should drink daily. Walk in the early morning or late evening when it's cooler and the humidity is lower. Wear light, breathable clothing, a hat, and carry a small bottle of water. Walking isn't the problem, but walking at the wrong time, without enough water, with an aging circulatory system, that's what puts your brain at risk. At this stage in life, more exercise doesn't always mean better. The goal is to exercise wisely in a way that supports your body, not stresses it. Let every step you take be a safe one, not a silent step closer to danger. Number 6, neck twists. When a small movement can trigger a major brain event. Have you ever sat too long and stretched your neck with a good twist, maybe even heard a satisfying little crack? Or perhaps you wake up stiff and turn your head left and right to loosen things up. These small, familiar movements seem harmless, but after age 60, twisting your neck too far or too quickly can quietly injure the arteries that feed your brain. Your neck contains two critical blood vessels, the vertebral arteries and the carotid arteries. Together, they supply nearly all the oxygen your brain depends on. When you turn your neck forcefully, tilt your head backward, or rotate too deeply, you risk compressing or even tearing the lining of these arteries, especially the vertebral artery, which runs through the bones of your neck. In younger bodies, arteries are supple and flexible. But as we age, vessels become stiff and fragile, sometimes lined with plaque. One sudden twist or overstretch can cause a tiny tear in the artery's inner wall, a condition known as arterial dissection. That tear becomes a site for clot formation, and if that clot travels to your brain, it can block blood flow, causing a potentially life-altering stroke. I remember one case clearly. Joanne, age 68, from North Carolina. One morning, she woke up with neck stiffness. She stretched, turning her head left, crack, then right. Moments later, her vision blurred and her left hand tingled. She assumed she'd slept in a bad position. But within the hour, she couldn't speak clearly. An MRI revealed a brainstem stroke, likely caused by a small clot following a vertebral artery dissection. The twisting motion that morning may have caused a tiny tear that led to the clot. Joanne survived, but she speaks more slowly now and had to step away from her part-time job teaching yoga. Twisting your neck isn't always dangerous, but after 60, the way you move makes all the difference. Here's how to protect yourself. Avoid fast or forceful neck rotations, especially right after waking or when your muscles are cold. Never tilt your head backward for long periods, like at the salon or looking up at a ceiling. If you need to turn your body, rotate your torso, not just your neck. Be extra cautious if you have high blood pressure, known plaque buildup, or a history of stroke. Choose gentle neck stretches, guided by a trained physical therapist or instructor experienced with older adults. You don't need to stop moving, but at this age, every movement should come with wisdom. A seemingly small twist can spark a quiet storm inside fragile vessels. And you deserve to be protected from that, not by fear, but by understanding your body with love and awareness. Number 7. Exercising right after eating. When blood leaves the brain to aid digestion. After a good meal, especially lunch or dinner, you might feel that a quick walk will help with digestion. Some people even swear by the habit of eating and walking right away to prevent weight gain or sluggishness. But exercising immediately after eating, particularly after age 60, can cause blood to shift away from your brain to your digestive system, leaving your brain temporarily starved of oxygen. Think of your circulation like a road system. After a meal, the body reroutes much of its blood flow to the stomach and intestines to help digest and absorb nutrients. In younger adults, the cardiovascular system easily compensates by pumping more blood to cover both digestion and brain function. But as we age, the heart becomes less responsive and blood vessels lose their elasticity. If you start exercising while your body is still digesting, it may not be able to do both well, and the brain is often the one that gets left out. You might notice symptoms like lightheadedness, blurred vision, mild nausea, or unsteadiness. Over time, especially if you have high blood pressure, diabetes, or take circulation-altering medications, this repeated pattern can raise your risk of transient ischemic attacks, TIAs, or minor strokes, both of which are warning signs of something worse to come. I once cared for Mr. Patrick, age 74, from Texas. After dinner each night, he would go for a 30-minute walk around the neighborhood. One evening, just 10 minutes after a hearty meal, he set out as usual. About 15 minutes in, he began to feel nauseated, dizzy, and collapsed onto the grass. Thankfully, a neighbor saw him and called for help. In the hospital, doctors diagnosed a transient ischemic attack caused by reduced blood flow to his brain. The likely trigger? His digestive system was using most of his circulation while he was trying to exercise. Patrick recovered fully, but now he always waits at least an hour after meals before exercising. Here's how to protect yourself. Wait at least 45-60 minutes after a main meal before engaging in physical activity. If you must move after eating, limit it to light indoor walking. No hills, no exertion. Avoid bending, twisting, or lifting heavy objects right after eating. Instead, rest in a comfortable chair, maybe with your feet slightly elevated, to support digestion. If you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or heart disease, speak with your doctor about safe post-meal movement. Exercise remains essential after 60, but timing is just as important as activity. When your digestive system is hard at work, give it time to finish before asking your heart and brain to do more. You've earned the right to slow down. Let each step be one of intention, not interruption. Number 8. Salon hair washes. When a tilted neck can trigger a rare type of stroke. Have you ever sat back in one of those salon shampoo chairs, your neck resting on a hard porcelain edge, head tilted back, warm water gently flowing across your scalp? It feels relaxing, almost luxurious. But few people know that tilting your head back for several minutes during a salon hair wash can trigger a rare but dangerous type of stroke, something known as beauty parlor stroke. After age 60, the arteries that supply blood to your brain, especially the vertebral arteries in your neck, become more vulnerable. These vessels are often stiffened by plaque, weakened in structure, and less able to adjust under stress. When you tilt your neck backward and hold that position for a few minutes, those arteries can become stretched, kinked, or compressed, reducing blood flow to your brain. In rare cases, this posture can even tear the inner lining of the artery, allowing a small blood clot to form and eventually block blood flow to the brain, causing a stroke. I once treated Clara, a vibrant 72-year-old who loved getting her hair done. After a routine shampoo at her favorite salon, she felt dizzy and slightly numb on one side of her face. She brushed it off as fatigue, but within hours, her speech slurred and she was rushed to the emergency room. The diagnosis? A brainstem stroke caused by impaired blood flow in the posterior circulation, most likely triggered by the extended neck tilt during her shampoo session. This isn't an isolated incident. Among older adults, this kind of stroke can be set off by the simple act of leaning back too far for too long. Since then, Clara only visits salons that allow her to wash her hair upright, or she does it at home in a safer position. You deserve to feel pampered, but safety should always come with self-care. Here's how to protect yourself. Avoid tilting your head back for long periods during hair washes, especially if you've ever experienced dizziness, high blood pressure, or vascular issues. Ask the salon if they can wash your hair with you sitting upright, facing forward over the sink instead of leaning back. If reclining is necessary, use a soft towel or cushion to support your neck and avoid extreme backward angles. If you feel numbness, dizziness, or blurred vision while shampooing, stop immediately and return to a neutral position. Only go for hair appointments when you're well rested and hydrated, not fatigued or lightheaded. A simple hair wash should never send you to the hospital. Small things, a single posture, a few minutes in the wrong position, can be the final straw for blood vessels already weakened with age. Caring for yourself is the most beautiful act of all, especially when it comes from wisdom, not just routine. Number 9, chronic sleep loss, when the brain loses its time to heal and clear toxins. Have you ever found yourself lying awake at 2 a.m., then 3, then 4, watching the hours slip by? After 60, sleep often becomes lighter, shorter, and more easily disrupted. Many older adults accept this as a natural part of aging, But chronic sleep deprivation doesn't just cause fatigue. It quietly deprives your brain of the time it needs to heal and cleanse itself, increasing your risk of stroke and cognitive decline. During deep sleep, your brain enters a phase called neural cleansing. A specialized system, known as the glymphatic system, becomes highly active at night, flushing out neurotoxic waste, including amyloid beta, the protein linked to Alzheimer's disease, and other harmful free radicals. But if your sleep is too shallow or frequently interrupted, this cleansing system doesn't get to do its job. In addition, chronic sleep loss increases nighttime blood pressure, disrupts heart rhythm, and promotes small blood clots, all of which raise the risk for silent strokes or microinfarcts that gradually damage the brain over time. These small injuries might go unnoticed at first, but can lead to memory loss, confusion, imbalance, or even dementia in later years. One of my patients, Mr. Charles, age 79, from Florida, had struggled with insomnia for years. He'd lie awake most nights, getting just 2 or 3 hours of broken sleep. Eventually, he began to repeat words, forget names, and shuffle his feet when walking. Brain scans revealed multiple microinfarcts, tiny areas of brain damage, especially in the frontal and temporal lobes, consistent with chronic ischemia from long-term poor sleep. Charles had never suffered a major stroke, but years of sleepless nights had slowly eroded his brain, one cell at a time. What can you do? Maintain a regular sleep schedule, going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, even on weekends. Avoid caffeine, alcohol, and heavy meals after 4 p.m. Turn off screens at least an hour before bed. Blue light suppresses melatonin, your natural sleep hormone. Create a relaxing bedtime routine, gentle music, a warm shower, or a quiet book. If you wake during the night, avoid bright lights or checking the clock. Just breathe slowly and let your body settle. Consult a doctor if your sleep problems last more than 3 weeks. Conditions like sleep apnea, depression, or neurological issues may be involved. Sleep isn't passive. It's your brain's most active repair process. Each restful night gives your vessels time to relax, your memory time to settle, and your neurons time to clear the day's waste. After 60, sleep is not a luxury. It's a lifeline for staying sharp, strong, and independent. You deserve peaceful, uninterrupted nights so that every morning you don't just wake up, you wake up renewed. We've just walked through 9 seemingly harmless everyday movements, each one with the potential to quietly raise your risk of stroke after 60. Not because your body is broken, but because your body is changing. And what once helped you thrive might now be silently putting pressure on fragile vessels, worn nerves, and a heart that needs more time to respond. But here's the most important thing I want you to remember. None of these risks are your fault. They come from doing your best to stay active, engaged, and independent. The answer isn't fear, it's knowledge. And once you understand how your body works differently now, you can adjust with love and wisdom. Protecting your brain doesn't require pills or fear-based thinking. It requires listening, slowing down, and choosing smarter habits, like sitting for a moment before standing up, like skipping that walk in the noonday sun, like giving your brain the deep rest it's asking for. Your brain has carried the memories of a lifetime. It deserves care, attention, and a chance to keep working beautifully for many years to come. If you found today's message helpful, please let me know in the comments by typing 1. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me bring you better guidance each week. And if you want to continue protecting your brain even further, don't miss my next video. These 9 vegetables raise stroke risk overnight. Yes, vegetables, some of the very foods we've long believed were completely safe, can be dangerous when your blood vessels are fragile and your brain is more vulnerable. I'll explain what to eat, what to avoid, and how to protect your circulation without giving up healthy food. So make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell, and I'll see you there. Your health, your brain, and your future are worth every moment of care. Of care. Of care. Of care. Of care.